Karan, I want to pick up on a couple of the things that Rajiv has laid on the table to set the context for this conversation. First up, the first order impact of the uncertainty created by the tariffs, this chilling effect that Rajiv spoke of, that investors are going into a state of panic at this point in time, and future investments at this point look uncertain, and so people are going to pause and wait to see how this dust settles. Is that what you're hearing from your clients as well?
I think, Shireen, I agree with Rajiv. There's so much of uncertainty that the clients are all looking at alternative scenarios and what might play out. We'll see multiple, this is a dynamic world given what you talked about, what the first order reaction is, what different countries are going to respond to, what's going to happen with the macro environment with stagflation, and then the implications on what happens to interest rates, etc. So there's a lot of variables that need to be worked out. So scenarios is the right way to think about. And people will look at.
It's great news for consultants. Isn't that what you do? Paint out scenarios.
And I think there are opportunities here. I wouldn't say this is all a doom and gloom. I think the opportunity for India, given we're looking at differential tariffs, and if it does play out, and it's great that India has taken Section 4C rather than 4B, and we are negotiating with the US.
Yes.
And if we end up in a good place in those negotiations, this can be a big plus for us. If I also go back to what Prime Minister Modi and Trump talked about, which is the 500 billion export opportunity, I think therein lies potentially a massive opportunity for manufacturing. And Rajiv is exactly right. We need to push up manufacturing to 25% plus because we need that for jobs. And so I think there are sectors where I think India is very strong, very credible. And I think there is a get and a give. The get is in sectors that we're looking for where the US can send us technology. Mm-hmm. Whether it's defense, whether it's AI, whether you're looking at nuclear energy, I think could be a huge plus for the country. So I think, but having said that, I think there is a few key imperatives we have to make sure we are following through on. The lesson from China, the lesson from Vietnam is we absolutely need to make sure that we spend $10 billion. And we need global champions to come in to help set up that ecosystem. India, as we think about Make in India, and it's an absolute must that the private sector must do more on that front. And I think we need a global scale to be competitive. We all know about what in China, the big scale companies and the advantage they have.
Yeah.
So we have to be hyper competitive. So I think while there may be an opportunity for India here, and I really hope it does work out given how the negotiations will play out, I think there is a imperative for us to also take away for the longer term for us to position ourselves appropriately.
Before I get Rahul back into the conversation, let me just get Rajiv, and you mentioned of the supply chain diversification that is expected. Some of it is already happened post-COVID, but the expectation now, because of the differential that you talked about, Vietnam, China, etc., much higher tariffs in comparison to India. Rajiv, do you believe that that's going to have a impact?
It should have, but I think it's too early to call out. So if you look at countries that are competing with India, if you look at Mexico, for example, I think the US, Mexico, Canada, the USMCA, has much more favorable clauses than what India has. And I think what President Trump has said is an opening gambit. It's not. This is not a closing. And by the time countries take a defining moment to say they want to change, it takes time. It takes time for companies in India to create capacity. So I would say we are very well positioned because India's ability to negotiate is much greater. If I look at trade deficit of Vietnam, US's trade deficit to Vietnam is $125 billion.
Yeah.
If I look at Mexico, it's $180 billion. If I look at China, it's $320 billion. With India, it's somewhere between 40 to 50 billion.
Yeah.
And there are lots of ways by which India can balance that.
Yeah.
Also,
higher oil imports, LNG imports, defense, all of that. Yeah.
And we have done an analysis to say even if the duty rates were to come down, we can't talk about agriculture here, but in most products, if the duty rates were to come down, in India, which is his sort of this India is the tariff king.
Yes.
You know, it is, I think, and if the markets open up and
Yeah.
supply chains get redefined, you know, it'll be a far more beneficial thing for India.
So you're saying industry is okay and on board with a tariff cut, a significant tariff reduction by India?
Most parts of the industry are very open. I won't say all, but I'm saying in aggregation, India will be beneficiary of that. Industry is also wary to say where surplus capacity gets created. India's biggest concern right now is, yes, there's a lot of talk about India-US, but the bigger concern is the surplus capacity this
China
will create
dumping.
in China, Vietnam,
Yeah.
and in some sectors in Europe as well. So I think to that extent, people want to watch out for that closely. But I would say broadly, Shireen, most of Indian industry is quite comfortable. And I think if things go as logically one would, and it's very difficult to say this in the current regime,
Yes.
I think India should be a net beneficiary.
Should be
And companies are quite bullish.
Yeah, and today, this morning, we saw headlines saying that Apple is going to redirect more of its production to India on account of what we're seeing with tariffs on China. Do you believe that that's a one-off? Because we already have the capacity that's been created here, or to Rajiv's point, that people are going to wait to see how this plays out before taking calls on fresh investments and fresh capacity.
Shireen, Apple is already doing, I mean, the electronics sector has been a big plus, and the way the government has set up the electronics sector in the last few years, I think is a big story around India. So that will continue. Now, Apple is going to wait and watch and figure out, what's the amount of production they'll do in different geographies. But I think it's very smart what the government has done when it has not only has put in the PLIs, and now we are moving towards the latest announcement of going into components, going into more domestic value add, and then even going into design. You've got firms like L&T that are doing semiconductor design in India, and then you've got the fabs, etc., that the Tatas and the Murugappas are setting up. So I think electronics is a very good story in India, but it's still yet to play out to full potential. If you think about electronic value chain in 2030 will be about 6 trillion. It's about 4.3 trillion today. So it's a massive global value chain that we should be thinking of participating. And that's why us getting in front with the right incentives and being competitive with the scale players, you need the scale players like a Tata, the Murugappas to be playing to build that ecosystem in India.